So yeah, these people came for me to leave me hard pressed in a way that was covertly like the complete warfare games over me, so that were designed to leave me as hard pressed as they did. So I have a lot of areas to cover, and I have covered a lot of these areas prior in my journaling and my work that I've mentioned too, that during the hack was specifically missing for a reason, missing out of my computer. I mean, and it puts you in a predicament because it's like the mind games are completely deranged in that fashion, because you're thinking you not only have to recreate your online personification, you have to get a new phone number, you gotta get a new everything against their psychological attacks. You have to just replace everything that you just worked hard on your writing. You have to somehow gather those same thoughts back so that you can gather up the thoughts back of what you are missing from your own story. These things are to leave you so detrimental in your own stages that you just are to give up on yourself. I'm glad I didn't give up on myself, because at the time that, well, I was still pretty brand new at my last real job, that I was still pretty brand new there, and the attacks were to set up to make me feel as if everything that was happening to me was all me. And I knew that there's something else there. It was just an energy that I could not replace if I tried to, because of all of the work that I had done with myself and with my energies in my prayer value, and how physically well that I felt from doing those things. And I could feel in an instant, I should say, because when you're discovering holistics and Ayurvedics and you're like moving differently, you're actually saving your life, your own life, from what otherwise is hampering your abilities to see through this type of thing happening to you. So either way, I just wanted to suggest that it really deteriorates your abilities, your agility to even look like you have your sound mind and self, because you just never have had yourself. You see, yourself would look a whole lot differently not having these parties and players maneuvering and manipulating and playing these games to leave you hard pressed, and then to leave the hard pressed situation in their favor. So I'm going to go through the psychological manipulation, mind games, the gaslighting, emotional warfare, isolation, the spiritual manipulations and the false teachings or the false hopes that they lead you on, how they abused me through my technology, surveilling me, withholding love and support at times where they knew that it would be instrument to be used as time, or withdrawing for a length of time, financial abuse, and then the heartache itself in the betrayal coming from loved ones, familial ties, and girlfriends, and basically a history that is set up in a fashion to create social setups in these interactions. So we're going to speak about the setups, and we're going to speak about their interactions and how they're meant to ruin your character. The triggers that are created around the trauma itself, and the trauma bond that's created, and then the hypersexualization and the hardcore feelings of nostalgia that come when you're treated this way. We're going to talk about the destiny swap. We're going to talk about identity theft and their plans to strip me of myself fragmenting me and my own heart's desires and my own purpose in life in an unrelenting fashion in order to obstruct me from seeing the truth. And we're going to talk about the manipulative patterns behind the abuse before and after the discovery of these crimes and how they've affected my life. And we're going to talk about how they've scripted lives and forced basically roles of those double-minded players and people that played as basic crisis actors in events to stage up for events like my beliefs surrounding the car accident I was involved in when the police could shut off their camera, and there's no way that anything that I have could have been utilized in court. And I think that even the courts would have been able to see clear through that fact, being that I didn't make the record like anywhere. And so I think it's just a total disrespect of my privacy. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about how it's how these people, the perpetrators of the crime, disrespected love itself, being a gift and being a gift to me. Love itself was endearing to me, and it meant a whole lot more to me than what these people ever could play about, basically. And then we're going to talk about sex being sacred. And then we're going to talk about how they blocked me and prevented my own personal development, my growth, and me reaching my own purpose. How they utilized the information through the hacking in order to mock my faith and weaponize my energies in order to work against me. We're going to talk about how they weaponized time to cause for many delays in my life. They weaponized the time of any job setting or any area of my life, not just through jobs for financial reasons, but energies to gain access to me in ways for the buildup of the most impactful psychological torment games to be played. I'm going to talk about how envy-fueled retaliation and their projection against me, the Darvo tactics. It's just to blame shift everything as if it's just me, and how all of these attacks just keep staging themselves up all around me, basically, by that envy. And then Darvo is deny, attack, reverse, victim and offender. They do this because they need to reverse the victim and offender to save their own faces, like I've suggested in a lot of my work. And then we're going to also talk about how they starved me of my own origination, basically my own sense of self, how they just wanted to replace my sense of self, starving me out of my own ability and agility, really, through the poisons to be able to do so. And then we're going to talk about their demonic games of control, how they played me in the worst ways and utilized these attacks, set up the love game or the love bombing scenes, and when they didn't work, to hurt me in the worst ways, where throw me into a tailspin like they would hope, to dispose me in a way that gets you to work for their own cause. But that's what their goal is there, and they want to insinuate these psychological warfare games. So we're just going to talk about the demonic games that they played to control me and ultimately work up that love bomb scene to utilize to dispose of me. Next, we're going to talk about how they will invalidate your emotional stance with intent to convert others' attention instead of being anywhere on this with you. It's to hijack their attention and reality covertly through their controls, their ability of poisoning, manipulating, positioning, and playing these psychological warfare games. Next, we're going to talk about how they drain my energies to siphon my dreams, taking my love investments made, no matter what I've made them into. It's basically to mimic my own voice, mimic my energy, copy my energies, if you will, or make copies of like how I'd move or whatever, in order to continue the crime and sabotage and ultimately ruin your reputation. No dream gets to manifest in this way, basically. Anything that you put your mind's hearts to, anything that you're like unaware about at the time, covert warfare in that fashion, you're like going to your computer on. Anything that's not going to bother them is fine. But anything, and as soon as it starts to bother them, you will be notified. In one way or another, you will be notified that they don't want you on this topic. The next is how they manipulated my relationships in order to turn my loved ones against me, or to strengthen up as well, to die, or to be targeted, basically, or no, not strengthen, but stage me up as well, to be positioned to die, or to be targeted further. But yeah, they utilize my relationships in every fashion. And then how they could isolate me emotionally and psychologically to ensure that no one would ever hear me or have the time to, which makes it even that much more hard to come out with it, because it's a long-standing crime, like I've said, and it's left me suffocating down to the cellular level. So what a way to suffocate you more than to isolate you emotionally and psychologically by attacking everybody else's spirits, to make it harder for anybody else to want to come to side with you, because then it's basically suggesting to anybody else that, well, he seems to be going through a lot, so if I go over there to try to help him, that means that I'm going to be targeted too. And then anyone that does care, who could care, who might be able to do something, won't care, and they'll back off. And so the next thing we'll talk about is how they manipulate the outcomes within my life force. And then they strategically use those outcomes that they get through my life force, that they've targeted me within in the first place, to create for an outcome. They do this all of the times to starve you out of your own ability to reason, your agility to sense of self, and, well, at the same time, poisoning you. You're reaching for affirmation, you're reaching for confirmation, you're reaching for anyone else that can see it for what it is. You're reaching out, but they don't want you reaching out to anybody at all, because your reach might actually reach somebody that can help you. So they have to stop you in your tracks. So as soon as I started coming out online, it was all to attack my spirit. And then, so we're going to talk about that, how they work to stalk me, how they work to track me, seek after my spirit, digitally monitor me, to steer my life how they saw fit, perfectly well to stage me up for that best fit fall for their strategic plans, insurance claims out on you and whatnot. And these things do happen. It's a known thing that people can deny all they want, but oftentimes it's people that are the closest to them doing the most heinous shit, and they're literally snaking their lives while having life insurance policies and this and that out on this person, specifically to devastate that person. And they do this particularly to people who are unaware, who they think are weak, who they think they can get away with this with, but it's secretly working in a conspiratorial fashion with others to stage you up for your best fall, because they can create money on the backs of your dying. So what a better way to make money, huh? People can't think of a better way. Whatever. Either way, moving forward, we're going to talk about how they were secretly working to retire me, and why this helps, and what their aims could be, and why this helps and what their aims could be and might have been taken into, like that insurance fraud over my name, insisting to rake in over the creation of my death. And we're going to talk about how they planted false energy along with the narratives while letting me burn up in the consequences of their actions, of how they took upon my life to leave me for stupid and to leave me for cheap. Next, we're going to talk about how they control your timing, your opportunities, to delay your blessings in their design that helps with their own aim, to create this total assault over your life, both covertly and then once you're finding out overtly over your whole life's force and your heart, your health, your wealth, anything. Next, we're going to talk about how they targeted my physical heart, meaning to stage it up for it to stop, pop, or have troubles where I die. I mean, these people are sinister. They're demons, I should say. They're demons that they insist that they hold on to because of whatever reasons that they have. But anyway, we're going to talk about how a person's heart can be staged in that fashion, basically weaponizing them to be able to pull the plug on you whenever they want. And it's sad. Next, we're going to talk about how they weaponize being transparent with you to, in other words, using your own honesty, your own compassion, your own love, your own ability to even love them as ammunition somehow to be able to use and turn against you. They won't be transparent about it. So we're going to talk about the transparency. Next, we're going to talk about how they would target me in my home, in the past, apartments, all the way throughout my life, up to now. And we're going to talk about the careers covertly or even making me feel guilty for even needing these parts of my life intact or even wanting these parts to claim forward, to go forward in my life. It's, in other words, a way that they would make me feel guilty for just trying to rise up to who I wanted to be. Anyway, no matter what it was. Now, we're going to also talk about insurance claims and these destiny swaps and how they can go hand in hand with monetizing off someone's very struggle and pain that they can create the entire time. And then even right after you're trying to grow up in this way, a movement or what you're trying to do online, it's the entire time they're just going to basically completely smother you and create that pain, and you're going to be like defending yourself from what you feel. You're defending yourself from ghosts, basically, because you don't really think that it could come from these people the entire time. You don't. You naturally just don't flip your mind there. But it's like the NTFs I was talking about. It's basically like an initial thing that they did to create a source of theft where they could get away with stealing from me after poisoning me up and getting me all lost on myself. And then they were able to get me to maneuver my money even into things that I really didn't agree to. And then it's like stealing candy from a baby. So it's like working up on the scenes of something like that to then initialize for a greater theft. And the greatest theft of what I'm saying is like, dude, this is like my whole life that they would have been fucking done taken away from me. If I would have died that day, in my mind it was like, fuck, man, I'm just fucking surfacing this stuff in my mind and putting these things together. The crime, the length of time, everything. And then I wouldn't have been able to crawl out of my mind a little fucking bit before they just sabotaged my life so they could get away with taking my life. And then even the podunky police don't even want to fucking be police anymore. Just paid fucking shills, obviously. I don't know. I just don't get it. I'm up against a fucking rock and a hard place here. Can you tell? Anyway, next we're going to talk about how they'd work together to contribute together, and how their contributions can be paid to undermine me, my healing, my journey at all, while at the same time telling me it's not about the destination but the journey itself, perversely screwing with my destiny in the first place, and the journey itself. Well, yeah, the whole journey itself, so the destiny is already perversely screwed up even if you get to a destiny. You've had to go through so many covert things that it's another word, they need to work in this contributed fashion to cover up their tracks and to cover up all of their metadata and whatever. Because if it were all able to be discovered, these people are poisonous to the very fabric of what it means to be human. If you ask me, it's sacrificing somebody else's mind and agility and ability to their own sense of self before attacking them and creating these strategic events to leave them destitute. And then without any way of actually getting help. Because the police are all dicks. Next, we're going to talk about how they poison you literally and figuratively to all the safe spaces that you think you have, leaving you no rest ever, basically. It's to prevent and pervert your time, energy, essence, and anything that you would otherwise be able to take your essence into to be demolished, or, well, the well-known places they put you in, I should say. But it's all done in order to prevent you from reaching discovery and reaching that truth. Just like we have a section on before on those, kind of will tie together. Next we're going to talk about how the poisons will work to block your eyesight in general, both spiritually and physically. And how they work to block up your vision spiritually and ethically is to mask your own truth, to mask your entire reality basically, with confusion, mixed signals, and this kind of virtue signaling game type of thing that they're playing over on you, to basically make a whole reality in other people's minds about who you are in order to get away with their all crimes over you. It's a real sick crime, yo. But next we're going to talk about how they will program others to get others to doubt you, to join in, bribe others, or more angles of this abuse and targeted behaviors, meaning to prevent your growth. So these people will pay paid actors to get them to come up against your spirit in ways that they can't continuously do themselves, or what have you. Next, we're going to talk about how they work to ensure that you're alone, only using love as a decoy to drain your spirit before discarding you completely, mirroring your heart's and soul's efforts, and preventing them from being what they couldn't on their own through what they're obtaining from you. And they can play it as if they aren't making all this kind of money off you and blah blah blah, but they are. And obviously no one's going to actually come out and say it unless it's like, baseline, the end of the movie type of script, type of fucking thing happens, but we're going to talk about, I guess, how big of fuckfaces these people are. How they made you the villain in their twisted plays, the word salad, the abuse and the timing of their word salad. Or even thing salad, timing salad, Anyway, it's all to gaslight you, leave you up in a cursed up reality, to bind up your spirits, in hopes that you sink within it of yourself, you give up on yourself and silence yourself, your own fate, knowing the fuck well how hard you are working, fighting, just to survive through what they are doing. They know exactly who they are. Next, we're going to talk about how they turned my life into a silent battlefield, exploiting my compassionate heart in order so that no one would believe the war zone that I'm actually trying to display I'm in out here. But so that no one can try to see it. No one could even try to internally put this thing into their perspective in order to come out and help me. I would like a life outside of abuse, thanks. I'm 44 years old. I worked really hard to get to where I have. I have a lot to offer somebody that would actually want to be concerning of me, but not of this crime. And if you and I don't know if there's anybody in the world that's not willing to take enough money to work to devastate me. So it's really hard. And it's created that. And I think that's completely abusive to me. We're going to talk about that very abuse. The abuse of leaving me so destitute in that way that I can't even be my organic self in front of any lady. In front of anybody at all, truthfully. But especially with somebody that I would like in my life. Somebody that I would have wanted to have been moving in my life differently by now, still working at that last, or I don't know, however many jobs ago. Still doing that. And growing from that. But these people set me up all over my life, meaning to make me seeming like I don't follow through with anything. And I don't understand that. I'm the only one that actually went through college. That actually got through it. And through a storm that I think was placed upon me by my oldest brother. Because, I'm sorry, but those people in that classroom could see me holding back my tears. And, yeah, just, the motherfucker knows you're a fuckface. Not being able to fucking stick it out and actually work up anything for the good and better of me. For your own fucking reason. Anyway, going off topic here. Next we're going to talk about how they create the havoc over any susceptible breakthrough in order to prevent your wings from ever being open up, fly, in order to redesign the fabric of your own reality, forcing you to question what's even real, forcing you to question if you should even try, forcing you to question your own appeal to have to start a whole online personification again, having to redo things that you should never really even have to do. I mean, especially not coming from these people as close as they are. Anybody at all, though. Anybody at all. We're going to talk about how they steal your passions, knowingly or not knowing, in order to sabotage your spirit and getting you to doubt your own gifts. They will get people involved in their own games who will have no idea about these games, playing in the same ultimate design, not knowing that they're just playing in an ultimate design for the party that should be grieving. You see what I mean? But instead you're grieving, and the people you love, you're grieving the people that you love, and you're grieving the people that you love even while they're alive. And that kind of life, if you were building to try and escape from, it's like it's an aggressive way that they come to try and sabotage your spiritual gifts, to sabotage and get you to doubt your own self. Next, we're going to talk about how they made me carry my own pain within the weight of knowing far well that I wouldn't have the wherewithal in myself to reason with it, where it was coming from, why it hurt so bad. all of that. I didn't know who it was aiming at me from. All the people that would be in the plans or not in the plans to hurt me so damn bad that it was to set up the stages for all of these memories to come back to surface, just to leave me so hurt that I'm literally crashing into the ground and in all of that pain with all of these people from the world around me. And I'm including my own friend, my own supposed, fake made relationship for their own gains, and then finding out that it's including and going all the way back, extending through my childhood. So the last part is going to be the most important part, and it's number 45, mind you, on my list of things to go through, but it's why you're worthy of Christ's light. Why you're worthy of the light of Jesus Christ. Because you're in an original design. Your body, mind, spirit, and soul to be in alignment with Christ. Not to be in alignment with all these disasters that people can pump up. But it's in the laws of nature itself. And so we want to somehow tap into that source light, and we want to be allowed to do so with our friends, our truest friends, and family. And we too want to set ourselves up free from this type of slavery, this kind of obliteration of our lives. I deserve to be able to be free and to break free from this. I've been fighting for that betterment for all of my life. I didn't know that I was fighting those that I was actually creating a lot of classes and courses for. But I didn't know that I'd have to fight them too. I know sometimes that people don't have the right words to pray. They don't feel like they have the right words to say. But don't underestimate the Lord's ability to understand the size of your troubles. The fragmented words that can be scattered behind an awful amount of feelings in the tears you cry. Even in your silences, when you go to the Lord, your spirit speaks louder than any words that you can ever string together. The Lord is not going to ever stop listening, and the Lord is going to be listening to you too. So there's nothing that you can bring to God that is too big for God to handle. God is about forgiveness, and God is about having you be in the body of Christ and knowing your spirit already in what you are trying to say. The Lord already fully knows you. And so if you're going to the Lord and you're new to going to the Lord, just know that you're being called, okay? Your sins are forgiven in the blood of the Lamb, Jesus Christ. And sometimes it might not seem as though God hears you, but let me assure you that the Lord hears you, and you can trust that. Anyway, so we're going to talk about these things, and I hope that you guys pay attention to my work as it comes out moving forward. I don't know how fast I'll be getting at all these topics, but this is where I'm trying to move. So thanks for being here and supporting my work. It means a lot to me.